Hey everyone, Kimber from Moksha Yoga and Wellness here. I wanted to create this yin style yoga class for folks that are tight in the upper back and also the hips. So for this practice, you'll need a strap. This can be a belt, this can be a necktie. I've used the waist tie of a bathrobe and that works really well, so you can always improvise. And then we are going to be doing some work on our hands and knees, so if your knees are really sensitive, maybe a blanket or some sort of padding to put under your knees if you'd like. So this class is going to be a little bit different structure. I'm really just going to go through the poses and demonstrate them for you and talk you through them, but then I really wanted to make this video to where you could hang out in those poses as long as you wanted. So that can be either you press pause during each pose, or you just learn the poses and then do this practice on your own. But I didn't really want you to feel limited by how long I wanted to hold the poses, and I wanted you to feel like this is what's true to my body. So trust your intuition, just make sure that you follow this sequence and you'll be good to go. So we'll start on our backs with our strap. Start by warming up the hamstrings and the back of the leg and the hips. So you're going to take this strap, wrap it over the ball of your right foot. Left leg is going to stay long. So you can start here, just gently, ever so gently encouraging length into the back of the right leg. You can also play with your foot here. So maybe reaching your pinky toe side of your foot higher, then all of a sudden I feel it in my outer calf, or your big toe foot higher to really target that stretch. So we'll stay here as long as you'd like, and important to remember, keep this left hip grounded. A lot of folks think it's better to bring this right leg as close to them as they can, and then this right leg starts to pop up off the ground. So really think about your pelvis being heavy and melting into the mat. After you're done with this one, you can take both ends of the strap into your left hand and cross that right leg over your body any amount. So this isn't a full twist where we're trying to get our leg on the ground. You want the back of the left pelvis still on the mat, and it's going to be even harder if you bring the right hip and the right pelvis down. You can let it come up in the air a little bit, but really just finding that stretch in the outer right hip and the IT band wherever you need to feel it. So you'll stay here as long as you'd like. And then you'll bring the straps into the right hand and open up that leg to the right any amount, really targeting the inner right thigh and groin here. Hold that as long as you'd like. And when you're ready to come back, bringing that right leg back up to center, I would recommend just taking a moment before you change sides, letting both legs long, just noticing what you feel in each leg. And then you'll do the whole sequence on your left leg. Start with the leg straight, cross it over the body, and then open it back up, holding those for as long as you'd like. Once you've done the left leg, bend both knees, feet flat on the mat, and just windshield wiper the knees back and forth. So in the yin style of yoga, when these poses are held for a long time, sometimes upwards of 3 minutes, we really want to balance with the opposite and invite a little bit of movement, some circulation back, moving that lymph back around, instead of just sitting and holding static poses one after the other after the other. You can hang out for a second on one side or the other if this is a nice opening on the front of the hip. And then as you're ready, we'll come over into an all fours position. This is where if you'd like that blanket to pad under your knees, totally welcome. So we'll start from a tabletop position. You're going to walk your hands forward and almost like you're coming back into child's pose, send the hips back but keep them up. So the chest melts toward the mat The forehead can come to rest on the mat if that's helpful. This is called puppy pose. And then just let your shoulders melt here. Stay as long as you'd like. Once you're done with the puppy, press back up to a tabletop position. And we'll take just a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhaling, drop the belly, lift the head. Exhale, round the spine, drop the gaze. Just another one of those yang poses to balance the yin. Inviting a little movement back into the body. And this can be dynamic and whatever feels good. You can go side to side. You can look over your shoulder. For me, that opens up that hip a little bit. And then send the hips back, stretch the arms forward, find a full child's pose. And in this position, reach your arms so far forward that your elbows are off the mat. And then breathe into that space in your upper back between your shoulder blades. And stay here as long as you'd like. Once you're done with that child's pose, come back up to a table. Come back to those cat-cows. Great spinal health by moving it in all directions every day. For the next pose, you'll need your strap again. So take a seat, legs out in front of you. Cross the left leg underneath you so that your knee is roundabouts kind of pointing forward. And then take your right leg, you're gonna cross it over any amount. I don't have a ton of hip flexibility, so this is what mine looks like. Your knees may be stacked on top of each other and your feet pointed back. Meet your body where you're at and make sure you're in a place that isn't your 10 out of 10. Since we are holding these poses for so long, you really are going for endurance and sustainability, so not your greatest effort. So here, since our right leg is on top, grab the strap in your left hand, reach back, almost like you're gonna do a tricep stretch, but then your right hand goes back behind you to grab that strap. So the palm of your hand is facing out, the back of your hand is touching your back. If you're super open in the shoulders, maybe you can grasp hands and don't need the strap. Or if you're a mere mortal like I, the strap is really helpful. And then ground down through the sit bones and remember to breathe and stay here as long as you'd like. And then when you're ready, we'll switch to the other side. So in between, you can take the legs out long, give them a good shake. And then to switch to the other side, your right leg will be on the bottom this time. Left leg stacked on top. You'll take the strap in your right hand. And then left hand bends back of the hand to your back, palm facing behind you. And you'll hang out on this side. It's okay if each side feels totally different. So stay as long as you'd like here. And when you're ready to move on, take both legs out in front of you and we'll just do some windshield wipers from this position. Same thing, just inviting some movement back, maybe hanging out if it feels really nice to open up one hip. Then when you're ready, we'll come back to our table position again. So grabbing that blanket if you need some padding under your knees. We're gonna start and thread the needle. So on an inhale, reach the right arm up, spiral open towards the sky. Exhale, take the right arm behind the left, come to lie on your right shoulder. And then use this left hand to control the intensity of the stretch. If you press the mat away with the left hand and spiral open, that would be a little bit deeper stretch. You can also experiment with taking that left arm out long in front of you. That can feel nice. Stay here. And then whenever you're ready, take that left hand underneath the shoulder, press back up, open up with that right arm again. Maybe take a few circles with the right shoulder. Placing that right hand back down. On your next inhale, left arm comes up, thread it behind the right, come to lie on the left shoulder, and then hang out on this side as long as you'd like. When you're ready, press into that right hand to lift you back up to table. Left arm comes back out tall. Maybe take some big circles with the left arm. Just a little bit of movement. And then come back to your tabletop position. Stretch the right leg out long behind you, tucking the toes that you're still touching the mat. So maybe this just feels like a nice calf stretch. Hang out here if you'd like. Or take that right leg back behind you over to the left. Stay here or experiment with your gaze, maybe looking over the left shoulder back towards that extended leg. Can feel really nice, creating space in the right side body. And since we are going to be hanging out here, making sure you're pressing into the mat, inflating the space between your shoulder blades, not sinking down, but actively using that part of the upper back. When you're ready to come back, just bring that right leg back into the tabletop position, and then switch the other side. Left leg comes back behind you, toes tucked. Stay here for a moment if you'd like. And then left leg comes back behind and out to the side. Maybe your gaze follows, checking in with the shoulders. Staying there until you're ready, and then coming back to that tabletop position. Swinging the legs out to the side, coming to sit on your bum. Legs out in front of you. Do whatever feels good to your body here as a yang pose, shaking out the legs. Maybe some seated cat-cows. Maybe a gentle twist side to side would feel really nice. Just a little bit of movement. So for this last pose, if you're really, really tight in your hamstrings, I would suggest grabbing that blanket and elevating your sit bones so that they're higher than your knees. Or it can also sometimes feel really nice to roll up the blanket underneath your knees. What we're going to do here is just a yin forward fold hold. So this is not the same as just folding forward like we do in a normal yoga class. Because this is yin, we're focused on the fascia of the back body, not necessarily the muscle tissue. So take a moment to really ground down into the sit bones. Use an inhale to reach through the crown of your head, get tall in the spine. And then as you exhale, tuck the chin. Really, really, really tuck the chin. And then start to melt forward until you meet some resistance. You may feel this in the back of the neck and the traps. You may feel it all the way down your spine, down into your low back. And just play around with where you need to be to find your own level of resistance. Remember, we're not looking for a 10 out of 10 here. This is really mellow. And this one I really suggest holding for a long time, maybe 7 minutes. Because that fascia, it takes a lot longer to release than muscle fibers. So really giving it time. You may find that you can move a little bit forward as the time goes on, which may change the experience of the stretch. But really, really be gentle. This isn't about slamming your heart forward. This is more about your back than your hamstrings. So stay in that yin forward fold as long as you'd like. And as you're ready, start to walk yourself back up to your seat with your hands. Take your time. If you're using a blanket, maybe move it out of the way. Bend the knees, feet flat on the mat, hands come behind you. Lift the hips for a little reverse table. Nice counter pose to that forward fold. Hold for a few breaths. And as you're ready, on an exhale, slowly lower down. So yogi's choice at this point in the practice, I would teach a bridge, a twist, and then shavasana. So feel free to lead yourself through those few final poses if you'd like. I encourage you to do so because the shavasana is really recentering for our nervous system. It really allows us to absorb the benefits of the practice we just did. But thank you so much, and I'll see y'all next time. Let me know if you liked the format of this video.